Well, one other thing that every one of these guys here in this room has in common is that besides knowing how to tune up, every single one of them, I guarantee, started out playing guitar with the very same 6 chords that I'm about to show you right now. These are called open position chords, and the reason they're called that is that they all include open strings. And because they include open strings, it means they ring, they vibrate, they resonate. And whether you play acoustic or electric guitar, these will be the chords that you'll use throughout your lifetime. So let's start out with chord number 1, and this is called E major. All right, let's form this open E chord. And as I put the chord together here, you're going to see a chord diagram appearing on your screen. And the chord diagram looks like a vertical guitar neck. And the dots are going to appear as I show you what the notes are. And you'll see that outlined in yellow is a note which is the other root. We've got the open 6, open first, and an E in the middle. And that's how the chord diagram is put together. The numbers on the neck show you the finger numbers. Remember the fingers? 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, here's how to play an open E chord. Take your second finger and place it on the 5th string at the 2nd fret. Remember to keep it vertical. Press it straight down. Right next door, use your 3rd finger on the 4th string at the 2nd fret, also coming down as close as you can to the fret. And then finally, place your 1st finger on the 3rd string at the 1st fret. Give it a whack. Does it sound nice and clean? Can you hear every note? Any buzzes? If it sounds like this, there's a small problem which you want to fix. One of the most common problems is that you're fingering it either too far away from the fret or right on top of the fret. You want the fingers to sit right behind the fret. Notice how this finger right here is not touching the fret, but it's as close as I can get it. The 2nd finger is kind of crowded, so I get it as close as I can, and the 1st finger is also right up against the fret. And that gives you the cleanest, clearest sound. So that's open E. The next chord I'm going to show you is open A. It's called open A because the open 5th string is the root. Now this is fingered with 3 fingers, and there's a lot of controversy about this chord. There's several different ways to finger it, and I'll show you a couple of them. This is the one that probably most people will find most comfortable. Place your 2nd finger on the 4th string at the 2nd fret. Now you're going to have to keep it kind of farther away from the fret than you would normally want to, because next door you have to put the 3rd finger on the 3rd string, and right next to that the 4th finger. So you notice all 3 fingers are pointing straight down on the neck, the thumb is behind, and the wrist is down to cause the fingers to arch and strike the strings dead on, and it should sound like this. Now that includes the open 1st string. That's a hard string to get to ring out at first. It'll probably sound more like this. Right? And if that's the case, which is quite common, I personally don't use the open 1st string all the time because of the difficulty. Here's another way to finger that chord using these 3 fingers. Now if your fingers are a little fatter like mine are, then it's harder to crowd them into that fret, but that's also a good alternative. And then finally, this is the secret A chord. 1 finger laid flat across the same 3 strings. You don't have the sound of the 1st string there, but it's much easier to grab in a hurry. Next up is the D chord. With E, A, and D, you're going to be ready to rock. Now the D chord includes an open D string. And I'll show you the fingering, again, 1 string at a time. 1st finger on the 3rd string at the 2nd fret. 3rd finger on the 2nd string at the 3rd fret, and the 2nd finger goes down on the 1st string at the 2nd fret. Putting them all down together like that. Now 1 point to make, actually I should have mentioned this about the A chord as well. There's a string you don't want to play. On the A chord, it's the open low E string. It won't sound bad, it just kind of muddies up the chord a bit. So you want to strike the pick or your fingers from the 5th string up on the A chord, and on the D chord from the 4th string. Once again, if you hit the A string, it doesn't sound bad, it's just kind of muddy, and if you hit the E string, well, that sounds kind of bad. So strike the strings from the 4th string up. Now that we've learned a couple of chords, let's take another look at strumming. Now, the key, as I mentioned when we talked about holding the guitar, is relaxation. Just let your right hand go up and down and strike the strings evenly, both on the downstroke and the upstroke. This is called alternate strumming, or alternate picking, by the way. Taking those 3 chords that we've got here and putting them together, here's a typical kind of strumming pattern. The next chord is one that requires a little bit of a stretch. This is open G. Now the open G has the root on the 6th string at the 3rd fret, and you're going to play it with your 2nd finger. So place that finger in position, and then the 1st finger on the 5th string at the 2nd fret. And now you reach all the way over here with your 3rd finger all the way to the 1st string. And this is where it's crucial again, thumb behind the neck and wrist down, because you want to get all those fingers to come straight down on the neck so that all the strings ring out clearly. And played properly, it should sound like this. You're hearing 3 open strings, the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd in the middle, and the other notes are fingered. Now combining it, for instance, with the D chord, using the same 3 fingers to play each chord, but in completely different shapes. And once again, strive to get the fingers to go down as a group. And then strum it together with the other chords and just kind of make up something. See if you can write a song with 4 chords. Rod Stewart did it. The next chord I'm going to show you is the open C chord. In this case, the root is on the 5th string at the 3rd fret, played with your 3rd finger. And then the 2nd finger goes down on the 4th string at the 2nd fret. Leave the G string, the 3rd string, open, and then use your 1st finger on the 2nd string at the 1st fret, and then 1st string open as well. And then all together it sounds like this. And notice I'm leaving the low string, the 6th string, out of the chord, only the top 5. The last chord I'm going to show you is B7. It's got a number attached to it, don't ask me why. But this is a kind of a bluesy chord. It's used a lot in the key of E, and it's a very important open position chord. Now it's played with the 1st finger on B, on the 5th string at the 2nd fret, then the index finger playing the 1st fret of the 4th string, the 3rd finger playing the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, then the open 2nd string, and finally the 4th finger, all the fingers get into this act, on the 1st string at the 2nd fret. It does have a little bit different sound than the chords we've been hearing because it's more complex. It has an extra note in it, the 7th. Now combine this chord with E to hear a typical combination. And so once again, you're working on getting your fingers to go down in groups as you make the change from chord to chord.